A lot of women don't lack communication. They're just inconsiderate. Let's talk about something most men feel but rarely say out loud. Some women aren't bad communicators. They're just not considerate of how their words or silence affect you. Now, that might sound harsh, but hear me out. We've been taught to believe that women are natural communicators, that they're more emotionally in tune, more expressive, more capable of verbalizing their thoughts. And that's partly true. But what's often overlooked is this. Just because someone talks a lot doesn't mean they communicate well. And just because a woman expresses her needs doesn't mean she considers yours. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of women don't lack the ability to communicate. They lack the willingness to be accountable. They can tell you what they need. They can tell you when they're hurt. They can spell out how you made them feel. But ask them to reflect on how they made you feel, and suddenly it's silence, deflection, or emotional gymnastics. That's not a communication issue. That's an empathy issue, a maturity issue, a self-awareness issue. The real problem isn't always about the absence of words. It's about the absence of care for how those words land. It's the "I was just being honest" line that hides disrespect. It's the cold shoulder when you're vulnerable, the sarcasm when you try to express something serious, or the selective listening that only kicks in when it benefits her narrative. It's not a communication issue, it's a consideration issue. Let's stop calling it a communication problem when it's really a consideration problem, because real communication isn't just about sending words. It's about caring enough to make someone feel seen, heard, and respected. Caring enough to respond when it matters. Caring enough to clarify instead of leaving someone hanging in emotional uncertainty. The truth is, a lot of women aren't bad at communicating. They're just not invested enough to put in the effort. She's not too busy to text back. She's scrolling Instagram, replying to comments, laughing at memes, and texting the people she prioritizes. And when she says, "I just didn't know how to say it," what she really means is, "You weren't important enough for me to figure it out." Let that sink in. Because when a woman values the connection, she may not always get the words right, but she'll try. And when she doesn't, it's not a glitch in her communication style. It's a reflection of how little she regards your emotional presence. It's not about her being overwhelmed, confused, or introverted. It's about the brutal reality that you weren't a consideration in the space where her effort lived. So stop overanalyzing her silence or sugarcoating her indifference. If she cared, you'd know. And if she doesn't, you already do. Let's be honest. It's easy to communicate when you're the one being heard, but real emotional maturity is shown when you're willing to hear hard truths about yourself without shutting down, lashing out, or flipping the blame. Some women are quick to accuse men of being emotionally unavailable, yet they make zero room for his feelings. They want you to express, but only in a way they agree with. They want vulnerability, but only if it doesn't inconvenience their ego. And that's where a lot of men start to shut down. Not because they're cold, not because they're incapable of communicating, but because they're tired of being in conversations where only one person's emotions matter. Now, this isn't about bashing women. It's about balance, about accountability, about realizing that communication isn't just about talking, it's about connecting. It's not just about getting your point across. It's about caring enough to understand the other side, even when it challenges your own. How to tell the difference. As a mature man, one of the most important skills you'll ever develop in relationships is discernment. The ability to tell the difference between a woman who's emotionally overwhelmed and one who's simply emotionally careless. Because trust me, there's a big difference. A woman who's overwhelmed may struggle, but she'll still try. She'll show up imperfectly, but sincerely. She'll make mistakes, but she won't make you feel invisible. On the other hand, a woman who's emotionally careless only shows up when it's convenient for her. She's available when she wants attention, but disappears when you ask for clarity. She expects you to read her mind, but won't open her mouth. And somehow, you're always the one apologizing for wanting honesty. That's not emotional depth. That's emotional manipulation wrapped in mystique. And when she flips it back on you, makes you feel too demanding, just for wanting to know where you stand, that's not her protecting her peace. That's her avoiding accountability. A woman who values you won't play games with your clarity. Even if she's healing, Even if she stumbles, she'll make an effort. Because effort isn't about perfection, it's about respect. And the difference between someone who's emotionally invested and someone who feels entitled to your presence is this. One shows up. The other expects you to stay while doing the bare minimum. Learn the difference. It'll save you time, energy, and your emotional peace. You deserve clarity, not confusion. One of the quietest ways good men lose themselves is by constantly trying to make sense of inconsiderate behavior, dressing it up as emotional complexity, or convincing themselves it's a trauma they need to help her heal. You start telling yourself, maybe she's scared of getting hurt, or maybe I'm asking for too much. But here's the truth most men don't want to face. It's not always fear, and it's not always trauma. Sometimes, it's just a lack of consideration, and no amount of patience can fix what someone isn't even trying to change. Consistent communication isn't a luxury, it's basic emotional hygiene in any adult relationship. Wanting to know where you stand isn't being needy, it's being healthy. If you constantly find yourself stuck in limbo, second-guessing what you mean to her, walking on eggshells just to stay in her orbit, understand this. That's not a communication gap. That's an emotional priority issue. You are not asking for too much by expecting clarity, respect, or reciprocity. The right woman may not always get it perfect, but she will never make you feel like your needs are an inconvenience. Confusion is not chemistry, and inconsistency is not mystery. If you have to wonder how she feels, you already know, and that's not something you fix. It's something you walk away from with your dignity intact. So to the mature women watching, if you truly want a man to open up, to trust you with his thoughts, his fears, his emotional world, then don't just listen to respond. Listen to understand. Don't weaponize his honesty. Don't minimize his needs. And don't pretend you're communicating if you're unwilling to receive as much as you give. Because real connection doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when both people are considerate enough to say, I hear you, I see you. Let's grow through this together. Conclusion. If you've ever felt unseen or shut down in a one-sided conversation, drop a comment below. Share your story. Hit the like button if this message hit home. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk that respects your experience as a man. No fluff, no filters, just grounded truth. Because men deserve to be heard too. Not just talked at, not just tolerated, but truly considered. See you in the next one.